Can I have no limits as a submissive? Is it a good thing? Is it a good thing to have limits? I mean, I have the feeling that it's expected from me that I shouldn't have limits as a submissive, because otherwise it's not real submission, or I'm not really trusting my partner. Hey, I'm Sam. For the past 3 years I was trained as a submissive and as a slave, and I really had to find my limits. I thought in the beginning that I didn't have limits. What does it mean, no limits? It's very clear. No limits means that you don't have any limits whatsoever. If your dominant wants you to stand in front of his car and he's going to drive over you, you'll be fine with that. That's what it means, no limits. Imagine that you are meeting someone who says they don't have limits. Ask them the next question. Would you be willing to have your head cut off? If you're meeting a slave that is saying, or a submissive that is saying they don't have limits, it might be that what they're trying to do is give you all the responsibility. And that's a very unhealthy way of looking into BDSM relationships and DS dynamics, in my opinion. Please make sure that you like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you think it's an awesome topic. I just want to know if I'm adding value. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you think this is valuable. If somebody ties you, blindfolds you, he can do pretty much anything with you. You need to trust someone. But you want to trust them that they're not cutting off 5 fingers or so. And it's not fair to tell the dominant that you trust them that they won't do it. Because you never told them if you tell them that you don't have any limits. So also, taking the time to figure out what your limits are, it's also a matter of respect toward your dominant. It's a matter of respect, and it's taking your own responsibility. If you say you don't have any limits, you're avoiding the responsibility. But you are responsible for your own well-being, not just your dom. It's your responsibility to be clear about what you want and what you don't want. Because in the end, the dom gets his pleasure from pleasing you, from giving you what you need. And it might be that he plays with your soft limits, but it's definitely not pleasing for him or her if they're playing with your hard limits and they're doing something that is crossing your limits, and that's really not what it's meant to be. So if you're a dominant and you meet someone who says that they don't have limits, be careful. What can happen then is that you will do something and it was not meant to be. For instance, you're into scarification. So that means you create scars in somebody's body, and it will leave scars, and it's like a tattoo, but just with scars. And you can say that your submissive is really, really not happy with it. Will that give you pleasure? No, it won't. And the point is that they might not say it, but they will hold it against you. Because they will see it as, you couldn't find out what my limits were, and you couldn't see that I wasn't enjoying it. No, they didn't take the responsibility to tell you. The whole point is that as soon as you give limits to the dominant, then it's also clear what they can do. It means you took the time. When I say that my limit is, I can have something of 30 centimeters in my ass, but no bigger than that, then it's very clear that you have a lot of space to play with it. If I say I don't have limits, you don't know what my limits are. That's the whole point. You see, it's good to have limits because it's also clarifying what you can do and what you can do. It clarifies, it defines your playground. This is why you really need to have limits, in my opinion. Saying that you don't have limits is saying to the dominant, I want you to find out what my limits are, and I'm not willing to tell you this. It feels a bit like power abuse, and that's the last thing that you want in a BDSM relationship. I might be a bit harsh on this, but I think this is for me is one of the core things. You want to play safe, sane, and consensual. And consensual is not meaning that you said that you agree on everything that's going to happen. Consensual means we talked about it before and we agreed on what is possible. We agreed on what is not possible, which will give us what is possible. So, main question, should you or shouldn't you do it? I think you should never do that. You always have rules. Like I said, you play, you define your playground. If you're doing a consensual, non-consensual CNC rape play, you can do that.